Just make great something. Making a successful indie game is simple. And so I thought, well, I'm trying to make a successful game. We just added in fixed time step to the game. We added in a fixed spawning system. We have made it more deterministic than before. I'm working on gameplay as much as I can, trying to make it as good as possible, but maybe that's just not the right thing to do. I don't know. Just make a great game, I guess. That's what I would assume. So it's simple but not easy. So I think the not easy part is where you try to make a good game, a fun game that people play for a long time. That's not easy. 3 games he made. Yeah, he made 3 games. He's made a lot of games, which is awesome, and made YouTube content along the way. Maybe we can learn something from this, because I want to make a great whatever that is, you know? Let's see.
This is how to make a commercially successful indie game. I managed to do this 3 times in a row. And this is
Let's see.
This is how to make a commercially successful indie game. I managed to do this
14,000 reviews. Crazy. 2,000 reviews. Crazy. Thronefall. This guy's a millionaire minimum, bro. Crazy. The second game, not so much. But again, we learned this. This is a side scroller. Okay. It is a platformer. People are very picky about their platformers. So he tried to make a game in a competitive market. This is a tower defense game. A different spin on a tower defense game. Together with other people. Really cool. And that was his first game.
3 times in a row. And this is the fastest crash course you'll ever find for how you can replicate it. Just make great games. Marketing is used as a very convenient excuse for indie development.
No, I don't think so. Marketing is not the thing you should focus on. And I will die on that hill, even if I don't think I will change my mind, even if my game releases on Steam and I have no one playing it. I don't think I will change my mind. Because ultimately, Steam looks at stats like how long people play your game, how many people buy your game, and how many people keep engaging with your game, aka clicking on your thumbnail. And if you have bad reviews, if people quit your game early, leave the store early, do something else, and don't even invest money in your game because the reviews are bad, or the reviews show that people play the game for, let's say, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, why would Steam market your game? Why would Steam advertise your game more? They're not earning money with you. They're not earning players engaging with their platform with you. So why? And so I think this is, like, I'm gonna say it, I think this is the lazy people way out. You're lazy, you don't want to make a good game. Oh, it's marketing. That's just how I see it. It's my honest opinion. I could be wrong, but I think I will still have the same opinion even if my game is out and my game has no players. Because I can see the stats. People played my demo version. I have a demo version. They played for 10 minutes. I get no wish lists. It's bad. The game's bad. It's 2 years old. I think, yeah, that's how I see it.
But no, it's very likely not why your game failed.
True,
there are like
I think so
4
too.
main things you need to do for marketing.
Have a great store page, have a great trailer, have a demo in Steam Next Fest. Yeah, we're gonna do that when we have the demo. Reach out to suitable content creators. Main quests. I agree with those. This one I will do too, but I will probably do this myself. Write the emails myself. Yeah.
Marketing, and then you have a small handful of optional sites.
Have a press kit and or website. I see. Reach out to try out to go viral on social media, and that would be using clips. Participate in conventions. I would not. I think I wouldn't do this at all. Like, this is, in my opinion, just a time waste, especially when you're alone. No, I wouldn't do this.
Quests, and that's pretty much it. There's not that much you can do. Algorithms are the new marketing. Deep down.
I knew it! See, I told you guys 10 million times, but you don't believe me? Okay, fine, don't believe me. It's okay.
We all know it. Algorithms decide what gets seen. My first commercial game was
Wait, is there a spelling mistake? Marking? Dude, you have a spelling mistake in your video, bro.
Deep down, we all know it. Algorithms decide what gets seen. My first commercial game was Islanders that I made with 2 friends at university. My YouTube channel was quite tiny back then. We barely did any marketing. We did the bare minimum, really. Somehow the Steam algorithm picked it up and showed it to millions of Steam users. Many of which
guys, just a little thing, okay, that you might not notice, but I take a look at. Every time he places something It bobs in and out, so it does like a cute little animation, like boop. And there's screen shake. This is called polish. It's called juice. Take a look at this.
Minimum,
Watch.
really. Somehow the Steam algorithm picked it up and showed it to millions of...
It's very impactful because that's what you do most in the game. They polished that game loop mostly. It's the game loop of placing things here. Feedback, yes, very, very important. That's what I'm doing right now.
Steam users, many of which decided to buy the game. And it's not just Steam. Every platform works like this nowadays. The reason why it doesn't make much sense to advertise your YouTube videos is because anything you can do is a fart in the wind compared to the visibility the algorithm can give you. Algorithms are the new kingmakers. That's why it's important
marketing, guys, okay,
to understand how they work. Corporate algorithms always want the same two things. Most importantly, they want money.
I told you guys. I told you. See, I told you. Why you not believe me? Come on!
And if they're not a monopoly and are playing the long game, they also want happy customers because happy customers lead to...
Happy customers means they play your game for a long time. What do you do when you like a game? You play the game. You spend time in the game.
More money in the long run. Now, the more your piece of content helps the platform to achieve those goals, the more your content will be shown. Luckily, you also want to make happy customers and like...
But he's wrong. Angry customers get more attention these days with just a look at... just look at Soul Ash 2. Fine, we're gonna take a look at Soul Ash 2. You recommended that. And this is supposed to be on Steam. I don't understand what you mean here. That doesn't look like angry customers. That looks like 84 positive reviews. And if I click on this... I see 1 hour, 22 hours, 2 hours, 13 hours, 20 hours, 80 hours, 0.4 hours, not that much. 0.3 hours, not that much. 0.5, not that much. 0.8, not that much. When did it write? 26 August. 40 hours. Okay, 13 hours. Let's see here. We can do Soul Ash 2. Median. Well, how do you type median? Median play time. It's called Video Game Insights. And over here we can do Soul Ash 2. Does it have that? Oh, it has. Soul Ash 2. It's right here. Just didn't find that on Google. That's still a long time. 2.8 hours is a long time. So this is essentially the median playtime for how long people play the game. The average playtime seems to be 11 hours, which is very high. And the higher this number is, the more happy the customers are. If you have a game that's bad, like my game, my old demo version, they spend 10 minutes there. Okay, take that into perspective. So, if I was Steam, what would I do? Would I promote a game that people spend 10 minutes in? Or 11 hours? I think the answer is simple, right? It doesn't matter how angry the customers are. If they spend time in the game, Steam is happy.
You also want to make some revenue, so you don't even have to do anything special. You just have to do your job well. These algorithms are constantly tracking
review scores, time spent on store page, time spent in game, click-through rate, yeah, wishlist conversion rate. I don't know about this, to be honest, but maybe. This means more money, by the way. Tags versus user preferences, amount of external traffic. I guess this one is important too, yeah. I don't have much, though then he's wrong, because if you have a very big YouTube channel and you have a lot of external traffic, then that works too, you know? So he's kind of right, but he's also wrong there.
Every single metric they can possibly get their hands on. And then they use that data to make a decision on which content to show and which content not to show.
Yep.
Anything else would essentially be leaving money on the table for them. Traditional marketing can boost some of the metrics these algorithms look at, and that's one of the main reasons why traditional marketing is still valuable to some degree. The thing with this is, however, you cannot trick the algorithm into thinking your game is good when it's not. Like, they have the review score.
Yeah. So essentially, because this is one key component, and if people don't spend time in the game, even if you have this, it's still bad, because people leave the platform early. They come here, they convert, but they don't spend time in the game.
They have the time spent on the store page, they have the time spent in game. There's only one thing you can do to boost all of these metrics at once, and that is making a great game. That's what the algorithm is.
I think this is the biggest one, though. And I think, yeah, so review score goes hand in hand with time spent in the game most of the time. So I think this is the... So have you guys ever heard about cause and effect? So what I think, so how I see it, and I think it makes sense. The more people spend time in your game, that has a positive effect on the review score. And so essentially you get this by spending a lot of time on this as a game developer. And this one as well. If you have a demo version, now you release your game. The demo version made people very interested in your game. They like your game. Now the conversion rate is higher because the people that played your game, engaged with it, really liked it. I have a feeling that this is the most important one out of them all. Could be wrong, of course, but that's how I see it.
Trying to detect, and most of the time it does so very successfully. As we move to a more and more algorithm-driven world, pleasing the algorithms, aka just making great content, becomes more and more important, while traditional marketing is now mostly a tool for kickstarting the algorithms and will probably even keep declining in value over time. Note that this is an observation for the indie games industry.
Very interesting comment. I have bought all of the games whose demos are liked. Yeah, I would do so too, exactly. And the fact that you even have a demo for most of the games is really good. That's why indie developers should all make a demo version before releasing the game, especially when you're a solo developer.
And I'm not really sure about other industries or AAA games. Now you know why I believe that just free, and I'm not really sure about other industries or AAA games. Now you know why I believe that just make great games is more true than it ever has been. On the plus side,
I love that this guy with 3 released games says the same thing that I say, that didn't release a game yet, just a demo version. Because that's ultimately how I feel so too. And I don't understand then when game developers come in here and talk about how they don't think that when they have all of the data available to them. I just don't see it. I don't understand it because it's so simple. It's actually so simple.
You can just focus on making games a lot more. On the negative side, you're very much dependent on random algorithms you don't entirely understand.
That's true,
I am of course biased, but I would say it is a good time to be an indie game developer.
Yeah,
now
me
to
too.
The fantastic question of how do you make a game that both players and...
The reason why it's a good time, by the way, is because you do not have to engage with a publisher if you don't want to. You don't have to do it. You're not as at the mercy of someone who has all of the power when it comes to marketing. So they're like, you're more free. You have more options available to you because there's an algorithm that helps you out. And the demand is growing, as well,
Algorithms will love. You need fun for keeping players, appeal for gaining players, scope for finishing your game, and monetization for paying your rent.
We have some issues there. That's kind of fixed now, I'm working on the side, but oh man, the scope is a little big. Yeah, true. My scope's big.
And these are the 4 pillars to construct your game on. So from the very first prototype, you should constantly be thinking about these. The most common advice beginners get from veterans in the industry is make small games. And I'll give you the
I should have done smaller tower defense game, but now we're too deep. We have to continue, okay? Physical damage, fire damage, ice damage, and lightning damage. We stay in the game. Yes.
Exact same advice, but with a different explanation. The real value of your work can be calculated by taking the value of your work and dividing it by its cost.
You can I have a big cost, man. I have a lot of costs, Oof.
And I look at this like your hourly wage, right? If you
poison damage, yes. I forgot the poison damage, true.
Game makes 5 times the amount of money, but it took you 5 times as long, then your hourly wage is still exactly the same. Bad feature creep is when your cost increases more than the value of your game, and good feature creep is if the value increases more than the cost of the game. So success is not at all about the size of your game, it's about the ratio between these two. The only way to achieve real value and to, for example, increase your hourly wage is to do more with less. There's no way around it. Here's a checklist with some ideas to achieve more with.
Make deliberate trade-offs, craft focused experiences, put quality over quantity. I do that, yep. Be cheap so you can be generous. Whatever that means. Make everything interact with everything. Leverage generated random content. Tried to, didn't work out very well, but yeah, build or buy tools. I do. Use or buy assets. He's right there. I should have used assets, but now I have my own and I know how to draw, so it's not that big of a deal at the moment, yeah.
less.
Value is not the same for 3 years, you're wrong. I should ban you, but it's fine, it's fine, it's okay.
Cheap so you can be generous, make simple models so that you can create more of them faster, make everything interact with everything, leverage interactions between objects,
This is essentially what I'm trying at the moment in my game. I'll give you an example, okay? Because I like putting examples there for, you know, someone that watches to understand what that means. Let me show you the skill tree right here, for example. We have an ability called Shield Orbs. These Shield Orbs spin around the player. Now, I have in my skill tree something that I call projectile speed. And this makes the projectile fly faster. Okay, now this projectile speed stat can be found on different items as well. So for example, if I give myself some money, I have this weapon here that gives me 40% projectile speed. Now you might be wondering, okay, well, looks like you can make your shield orbs faster if you have this. Okay, now they spin very fast, but that's not entirely true. I can also make this wind slash faster using this projectile speed. The wind slash flies much further depending on projectile speed. And so now you might be wondering, okay, cool. So I have one thing that affects two different things in the game, one stat. And so that's how ultimately the items in the game interact with the abilities and the skill tree in the game. And so this could be extended even further using more means like, for example, meta progression. That is very conditional. If you're alone, maybe your projectiles fly 20% further, something like this. And not only that, but you can see down here we have generic ability duration nodes. You can see that this ability right now takes 12 seconds. That's the duration stat in the middle. If I go down here, and I need to give myself some more skill points for that. If I go down here and give myself 20% duration, now all of a sudden this ability lasts 14 seconds. While I invested into a different path, I still got something out of that. And so that's what I'm currently trying to do. And that actually takes quite a bit of time, because you have to test out things, see if they work and if they don't work. And this just doesn't come randomly in from anywhere. You have to test this out. And so I like this a lot. I think this is very important, because the more they interact with each other, the more options you have to play the game. That's ultimately how it works.
More systemic game with highly reusable content. Yeah. Write your own tools to make other work on your game faster and more efficient. Buy stuff from the asset store if it saves enough time. Here's another checklist with things you probably should try to
avoid endless concept debates. Oh god, chat. Guys, you have to stop talking about the game. You have to stop complaining, you know. We would be so much faster if chat would just shut the fuck up. You know, it's crazy. Don't overhire. Yeah, I don't have anyone. All 6. Don't try to compete on every dimension. I try that, actually. He's right. I try to be better than Bloons and better than Kingdom Rush on every dimension, except for multiplayer. Huh, interesting. Well, but how can I? Like, I need to be better than them. Fail faster. Don't listen to all feedback. Yeah, that's true. You guys are wrong. Yeah. Fail faster. Catch mistakes early. Yeah, that's difficult. You train that. You learn that, though. Avoid constantly rising maintenance costs. I don't know what that means, essentially. I'm trying to make... I don't know what that means. Yeah.
Avoid, for example, don't overhire if you don't know.
You need to start working on multiplayer. I work on multiplayer if the game is successful enough in single player.
What you're doing, because you'll have to make up for it on the earnings side, and bigger teams can introduce a lot of friction. One interesting thing about this optimization problem of doing more with less is that scale very often does actually matter. For example, sometimes if your game is 2 times more polished, it gets 4 times more players. So there are non-linear...
We are working on polish at the moment. We're working on polish at the moment. Huh?
Functions in this optimization problem, but they exist in both directions. For example, games also tend to exponentially get more expensive as you scale them up, because you have increasing maintenance costs, longer load times, and so on and so forth. One of the best ways to do more with less is to write the positive exponentials while avoiding the negative exponentials. Easier said than done. The quality of your game needs to grow faster than the costs, and this is much easier to do with small games, and also lower risk, especially for beginners.
Yeah,
if you make small games, then you have the less part figured out already, and and all you need to focus on is the more part. It's like when you're making small games, you're essentially forcing yourself into this philosophy. For indie developers on PC, monetization is luckily very straightforward. You just sell your game on Steam, and the only difficult thing about it is picking the correct price. As a rule of thumb, if you're making a game for a wide audience with mass appeal, then I would try to underprice it a little bit. This is what I call the impulse purchase strategy, and it has worked very well for our games so far.
I see. So basically you're trying to go viral on Steam.
Whereas if you're making a game for a more specific niche audience, then it's probably better to overprice it a little bit. This is what I call the hardcore fan strategy. And
yeah, that's why I put my game at $15 or 15 euros, because it's more catered towards the niche audience of hardcore players in a way. Not really hardcore players, it's still easy, but you can go very deep with all of the different stats that you have in the game. You saw projectile speed. It's a very generic stat, but you can do a lot with this.
It's probably better to overprice it a little bit. This is what I call the hardcore fan strategy.
Is it though? Yes, it is. There's so many things you can do in the game that are not... It's not like, oh, your tower now shoots 2 projectiles. It's more like projectiles +1. And then it affects all of the projectiles from the tower. Not just that one particular attack that the tower does, usually. You know, usually you have your one attack on your tower. I have like 4 abilities. They do different things. And yeah.
And I also think it's important that you choose one strategy or the other. These 2 strategies are very proven across a lot of different games, so stick with what works. Next up, appeal measures how strongly your game attracts players with its presentation. And this is the algorithm booster #1.
Yeah, that's why I tried to work on the visuals for such a long time. And I'm still not 100% there, but I'm getting closer. Does this even work? Huh, interesting. Kind of works. Draws it here too. Very interesting. Draws it twice. Cool. Yeah. I try to have a likability like balloons for advertisement at the moment, but I will have my own levels, essentially. Yeah, but I spent a lot of time on lighting. Sorry.
By far. Appeal can often be created through a strong fantasy, for example, flying in a wingsuit, being the ruler of a castle, exploring the solar system in your tiny spaceship, or surprisingly, real-life fantasies like just driving a truck can also work really well. You need a strong presentation, which means everything from visuals to sounds to animations to polish, and it should be self-explanatory and easy to understand. When you see a
That's why I'm so happy that Necropolis started making music for the game, because my music just sucked. And I have a strong feeling that Necropolis can forge this one very high quality song that gives my game the determining factor that is, that's Tangy Defense. I remember. Yeah, that's from Tangy Defense. Like the one particular song that you guys remember from Bloons, Plants vs. Zombies, Skyrim. I think you can do
should
that.
Be able to instantly make an educated guess for what the game is about. Of course, players and investors and algorithms can only understand your game if you do. I recommend you come up with a 2-sentence pitch very, very early on in development. This is a template you can use for...
Ooh, a pitch. Guys, can we do a pitch right now? I don't know about the U part. Verbs plus ups plus USP. I don't know what that means. Maybe he goes into this?
For example, Thronefall is a minimalist strategy game about building and defending your kingdom. You construct... buildings during the day and fight alongside your units during the night. Having a
2 hours later.
Tangy Defense is a tower defense game about balloons. Shut the fuck up. You choose a set of specialized tangerines to go on missions to defeat hordes of enemies and bosses. Incoming hordes of enemies and bosses.
A well-defined pitch like this helps immensely with vision keeping, because to make an appealing game, you need to go all in on your vision. You cannot afford to half-bake anything here. You'll encounter an onslaught of ideas, many of which will be your own, many of which will be from playtesters and friends and so on. Your vision serves as an excellent filter to sort through these
Yes, I filter a lot of stuff every day,
ideas. This would be my checklist for how to make an appealing game. I would take this very seriously because it massively helps to boost and activate the algorithms. And the reason for that is because players respond well to it. It makes for good numbers. It feeds feeds the algorithm with pleasant data if your game is appealing. Last but not least, your game should also just be fun. I recently changed my mind on fun a little bit. I now think that fun is pretty much just equivalent to flow. If you've never heard of this concept before, the quick explanation is the challenge you present the player with needs to match their skill. There are
I see. So you can make it too difficult, but you should always... Yeah. I see what he means. So the way I do this in my game is I propose a challenge. And then I give the player something, even if they lose, I give the player something in return that they can invest to overcome the challenge. The challenge might be too difficult at first, but they gained information and maybe some gold to do something with that information and gold to invest into the next time they run the mission, they run the challenge, they run the boss, something like that. It's like, yeah, I think that's how I will be able to create fun.
Some additional requirements, for example, fast and clear feedback, a feeling of control, and an environment that allows you to focus. So while this is simple in theory, it's more difficult in practice because player skills vary greatly, their learning rates vary a lot. If possible, I recommend only challenging one main skill in your game, because that way it will be a lot easier to get.
I hate that. I like that. I like that too. This too. I'm not that good at visual processing. Not that good at audio processing. That's even worse. So I guess this stuff here, timing, mechanical skill, okay, one of them.
That specific skill into the flow zone. If your game challenges multiple skills at the same time, for example, puzzle solving and timing, and just one of them is...
I see. Maybe my game is will get into a problematic state then. Will it though? So have you guys ever seen Bloonarius? On Bloons. This is this big guy right here, and that's essentially what I want to do in my game too. But I want Bloonarius to do attacks to my units. And so it might be too much where I have to focus on resources and on activating skills at the same time. But we'll have to see. It might be too much. If we were to convert this into what he's talking about in the video, it's timing, definitely, and maybe decision making. Not much mechanical skill used here. But however, now that I say this, Kingdom Rush does this too, and it's a very successful game. So I can't really be too sure about this. Kingdom Rush does it too. And it works there. Not to the degree of Bloons, but then again,
not in the flow zone, then it ruins the entire experience. For example, you know how to solve the puzzle, but you can't complete the timing challenge. Or maybe you find the timing challenges very fun, but the puzzles bore you. And none of this is ever any good. Especially if you're a beginner game developer, pick one skill to challenge, it's much safer.
But
blah, blah,
not
blah,
puzzle
have a
solving.
smooth difficulty curve, blah, blah. This should all be very obvious. There's one more concept to quickly touch on, and that is the concept of motivation, which is different from fun. Motivation is actually the wider...
This is oftentimes that I have an issue with in games. I don't know about you guys, but have you guys ever seen... So for example here, the Veil Guard, I guess, that's the new game. I don't have any motivation to play this game, bro. This doesn't look interesting to me. Give me a reason to play this. I could just play Skyrim, essentially. Sex scenes, maybe? I could play Dragon Age Origins. I think it's better. So, like, that's what I struggle with the most. I don't have any motivation to play most games that come out. They can also say I play Bloons, but I have something different in the game. I offer a unique experience that is not there in Bloons. But we'll have to see. Maybe you're right, you know. I'm still working on it.
Container, and fun is just one source of motivation. Different one could, for example, be the fantasy or the role-playing aspect of your game. And then, of course, you have your reward systems, leveling systems. I would say, as an indie developer on PC, motivation is not really a very big concern of yours. If you make free-to-play mobile games and you rely on microtransactions, sure, very different story. But as an indie dev on PC, fun is a perfectly fine source of motivation. If you want, you can do more, but if you just have fun and that's all the motivation sources you have, you're completely fine. If you want to build something on top of 4 pillars, then you of course start with the pillars. So whenever you make a new game, these are the first 4 things you should try to figure out about your game. And generally the best way to achieve that is to prototype. So the most...
Yeah, he's right. And so essentially that's what I did. I was here 2 years ago. I prototyped a game. I'll show you the game. So I prototyped this game 2 years ago. I had, I think, 6 missions, and the last mission included a boss fight. And that prototype was bad. And so I had to change my game. I could have released that game, tried to sell, let's say, maybe 10 copies. But why? I learned that this was not the way to move forward and I needed to change it. So I think he's right. You need to release something as fast as possible to get feedback. Demo version on Steam is the best thing in my opinion.
They say, nice, I like your prototype. And you're like, damn, that has potential. I'm gonna make that game now. That is useless. The reason why you should prototype is because picking the best design out of a selection of games is so much easier than guessing the best design.
Yeah, he's right. And so what we can do as game developers is, let's say you decide on a feature in your game and you say, okay, I want to implement that feature in the game, but there's also another way to do it. There's like 2 ways to do the same feature in the game. How do you know which one of the 2 is the one to go forward to? You don't. You need to pick one and then see if that works. And if that doesn't work, you try the other one.
True power of prototyping comes from making multiple prototypes. Because only if you have multiple, you can draw a direct comparison and be like, which one is more fun? Which one is more appealing? Which one allows me to achieve more with less? So
for example, I did this with projectiles a lot and with my stat system. And ultimately using abilities at the same time. It's like a system in the game that I reworked multiple times.
Yourself some options to choose from. I would prototype gameplay and art separately. This is for efficiency reasons. Essentially, the gameplay prototype is for testing the fun, and the visual prototype is for testing the appeal.
Yeah, I can't do that because I don't have someone working on the art, so I make the art at the same time as I prototype the game. And then if the prototype doesn't work, I still have the art.
And you only start with,
and so I just keep using the art, but I change the gameplay.
Bringing it together once both works well enough. When prototyping, prioritize speed over architecture. Try to optimize for fun, appeal, and scope right from the beginning. Technically also for monetization.
So basically, you know what that means, guys? Speed over architecture, that includes how you structure your code, you know? It doesn't really matter when you prototype. Just want to point that out, you know, for those code religion guys in chat. Yeah.
For fun, appeal, and scope right from the beginning. Technically also for monetization, but that's not that big of a concern for indie games on PC. And keep prototypes comparable so that you can gain benefits from comparing them to each other. How should the rest of the development process look like? Well, ideally exactly the same. You just never stop prototyping. You follow the best ideas, but you also keep branching off. You keep experimenting. You're performing a search algorithm, but within the bounds of the vision that you defined for yourself. You can look at it like this. The 4 pillars give you direction for your search. Your vision provides you with boundaries for your search space, and the search itself ensures that you're not accidentally missing out on a better design, but that you're finding the best solutions for the problems you face.
Never leave prototyping phase. Yeah.
Just make great games. But just to make sure we don't have a misunderstanding here, that does not at all mean that it is easy. The problem is that there are a lot of...
So that's the problem. How do you know if your game's good? You programmed something in, maybe it feels good to you, but it's just not fun. Yeah,
people making great games, and you are competing with almost all of them. There are only 2 strategies to deal with that competition. A, you do something better and you win the competition. Or B, you do something different and don't even engage in the competition. Most experienced game developers will probably advise you to use strategy B. It is generally a bit easier, but this strategy has also 2 very big risks. Risk number 1, not being different enough. And risk number 2, being too different. It can work well, but it is risky, and you need to hit a very specific sweet spot. So strategy...
You wanna see a different game that's somewhat similar to mine? The Hero We Need on Steam is a game that took about 300,000 to make. Has mixed reviews, and I don't think it gained a review in the last, I don't know, 5 months. Nothing. Now what they try to do here, be different, where they merge RTS together with tower defense games. So they had a hero that you had to control, you had to gain resources, you had to micromanage units to go to the resources, pick up stone, pick up wood, and then if you wanted to build a building, guess what? The units that were gathering the resources would go to the building and build the building, only to then be going back, and you would have to do that command yourself, like in an RTS game, to go back to the wood. So you would have to do a shift command, essentially. You guys know shift commands? You build a building using a shift command, and then you shift click back to the wood. And all while that's going on, it's essentially also spawning enemies that you have to defend. And you have to build the towers and the buildings. and micromanage your money. And micromanage your hero to use abilities. And your hero could use abilities that knock back enemies. If your hero knocks back a unit, an enemy, and you're not careful, that enemy is teleported right towards the exit and you have -1 life. All of that is too much. Absolutely too much. So they try to be different. They tried to do something that was never done before, but they didn't realize that they were doing this. They were doing this, but with like 5 things. So I think different works if you do the other things right.
Like it, you know that there's demand, and very, very certain that you're gonna capture an audience if you're one of the top entries in the genre on Steam. Of course, if you want to make a game that's better, it will require you to do some things different, and if you want to make a game that's different, it only makes sense if it's better in certain ways. So some will say there's not even a differentiation at all. I would still argue these are 2 different mindsets to approach the problem with. You can either be an innovator or you can be an optimizer. Choose whatever suits you more. But you know what determines your chance to succeed more than anything else?
Subscribe.
It's the rate at which you learn, grow, and acquire new skills.
True.
Do not judge yourself by the results you're getting now. Judge yourself by how quickly those results are improving. Cheers.
Bye. Hey, you need to subscribe.
Pink Sauce just officially failed.
Stop. We're not watching this.
This is how to make a commercially successful indie game.
I think this right here is the most important. The most important graphic. This one right here. And I think this is the most important one out of all of these points. And yeah, great video. I'm very happy that someone else talks about this too, because I think that's ultimately how it should be. And to me, this shows all the time when you have a great game, people they check most of these boxes. Anyways, guys, I hope you like this video. I think it's essentially all you need to make good games, or what you should be focusing on. Thronefall, yeah, I'm gonna link you the Thronefall and Snail games on Steam. It's crazy, man. 14,500 reviews. Damn, man. How much do they sell the game? 10? 15? Okay, between 10 and 15. Sounds about right. Awesome. There we go. This one is Thronefall, and then Will You Snail, I think that was his solo game, right? It's more of a 2D side-scroller game, not my type of game, actually. But you know, it's a very well polished game. Took him a long time to make too. It's awesome.